हम लोग देखते हैं पैरोल सिस्टम इन इंडिया. व्हेन ए प्रिजनर मेक्स आउट ए सफिशिएंट केस पैरोल कैन नॉट बी डिनाइड टू सच ए प्रिजनर्स बिकॉज इट बिकम्स ए मैटर ऑफ हिज और हर राइट. मतलब ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हैव देयर ऑन प्रिजनर रिलीज ऑन पैरोल रूल्स. बिल्कुल सही है. पैरोल इज नॉट ए फंडामेंटल राइट इन इंडिया. It is an administrative decision and granted at a discretion of prison authorities. It is considered a privilege rather than a legal right. Prison administration falls under State List Entry 4, List 2, 7th Schedule of Constitution. Entry 4, List 2, 7th Schedule of Constitution. States have their own parole rules framed under Prison Act 1894 and Prison Act 1900. जैसे बॉम्बे फोरलॉग एंड पैरोल रूल्स 1959 फ्रेम्ड अंडर प्रिजन्स एक्ट 1984. ठीक. लैंडमार्क केसेस ऑन पैरोल सुनील बत्रा वर्सेस दिल्ली एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन 1978. सुप्रीम कोर्ट रूल दैट पैरोल इज एन एग्जीक्यूटिव डिस्क्रिशन. ठीक. स्टेट ऑफ हरियाणा वर्सेस महेंद्र सिंह 2007 clarified that parole does not automatically apply as a right. ठीक है. Right to freedom of which of the following are included under right to freedom of religion? Freedom of propagation of religion सही है. Right to wear and carry kirpans by Sikhs सही है. States right to make laws for social reform सही है. Right to conservation of religions of people by religious bodies ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Article 25 guarantees freedom of religion and states right to freely profess, practice and propagate religion. Allows the wearing Article 25 allows the wearing of carrying kripans by Sikhs under explanation 1 of Article 25. ठीक है. The state has the power to make laws for social reform. ठीक है. However, religious bodies do not have unrestricted rights to conversion, as conversion by force, fraud or allurement is not protected under Article 25. Okay. Rev. Stanisculus and States of Madhya Pradesh 1977. Supreme Court held that right to propagate does not mean the right to convert others by coercion. Sirur Mutt case 1954. Supreme Court defined essential religious practices doctrine, distinguishing religious faith from secular practices. Okay, under which article of Indian Constitution is wearing of kripans by Sikhs deemed as a right to freedom of religion? Article 25 के according 25 2b explanation 1 of Indian Constitution explicitly allows Sikhs to wear and carry kripans as part of their religious practice. This recognizes unique religious obligation of Amritdhari Sikhs to carry kripans. ठीक. Article 24 prohibits child labor unrelated to religion. Article 26 right to religious institution to manage their affairs. Article 27 prohibits the use of tax money for religious purposes. ठीक है. Article 25 of Indian Constitution refer to freedom of religion. Article 25 freedom of religion. Article 25(1) grants all individuals the right to freely profess, practice and propagate religion subject to public order, morality and health. Article 25(2) allows the state to regulate or restrict economic, financial and political or other secular activities related to religion and permits social reform laws. Right to equality 14 to 18. Right to property originally fundamental right Article 31 but removed by 44th Amendment 1978 made a legal right under Article 300. Protection of minorities covered under Article 29 and 30. The word Hindu in Article 25 does not include पारसीज. बुद्ध, जैन और सिख हैं लेकिन पारसी नहीं है. Article 25 explanation to state that the term Hindu includes Sikh, Jain and Buddhist, but it does not include Parsi. Parsi are a distinct religious minority in India, primarily governed by Parsi Marriage and Divorce Act 1936. Divorce Act 1936. Parsi Hindu Marriage Act 1955. क्या है मामला? Applicable to Hindu, Jain, Sikh and Buddhist, not to Parsis. Jain, Sikh, Buddhist. Hindu, Jain, Sikh and Buddhist. S.R. Bommai versus Union of India 1994. Supreme Court ruled that Hinduism is not a specific religion but a way of life, inclusive of Jainism and Buddhism. ठीक है, एसआर बम्बई केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा था कि हिंदू एक वे ऑफ लाइफ है. Key aspects of religious freedom. Article 25 individual religious freedom. Article 26 institutional religious freedom. Article 27 no tax for religious activities. Article 28 restriction on religious education in government institutions. Article 25 individual religious freedom. Article 26 institutional religious freedom. Article 27 no tax for religious activities. Article 28 restriction on religious education in government institutions. ठीक है, पैरोल इन इंडिया देखा जाए, नॉट ए फंडामेंटल राइट बट एन executive privilege regulated by state prison rules under Prison Act 1894 and 1900. Two types: ordinary parole for specific reason जैसे illness, marriage, death of family member, for long term good behavior based release. ठीक है, Serur Mutt case 1954 defined essential religious practices. Rev. Stanley's case 1977 propagation is not equal to forced conversion. Bijoy Emmanuel case 1986 Supreme Court upheld Jehovah's Witness right to not sing the national anthem due to religious belief. अरे ऐसे कैसे? अब आता है according to Article 25 of the Constitution, the right to freedom of religion is not subjected to which of the following: public order, health, morality. लेकिन ह्यूमनिज्म पे ये नहीं. Article 25 guarantees the freedom of conscience and the right to freely profess, practice and propagate religion. However, this right is subject to public order. State can regulate religious practices if they threaten public peace. Morality practices violating basic morality can be restricted. जैसे सती was abolished in 1829. Health, religious practices affecting public health can be regulated. COVID-19 restriction on religious gathering. लेकिन humanism is not mentioned as restriction under Article 25. Rev. Stanley's versus State of Madhya Pradesh 1977. Supreme Court ruled that right to propagate is not equal to right to convert forcibly. Indian Young Liar Association versus State of Kerala 2018. Sabrimala case. Supreme Court held that women's right to worship cannot be restricted based on patriarchal religious norms. What are restrictions in the freedom to manage religious affairs under Article 26 of the Constitution? Public order. What are restrictions in the freedom to manage religious affairs under Article 26 of the Constitution? Public order, morality और health, ये तीन हैं. Article 26 guarantees religious denomination the right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes, manage their own religious affairs, own, acquire and administer movable and immovable property. However, these rights are subject to public order. State can intervene if religious affairs threaten public peace. Morality, unethical practices like forced conversion, sati, child marriage can be restricted. Health, practices affecting public health, animal sacrifice in public spaces can be regulated. ठीक। सिरूर मठ केस 1954 डिफाइंड एसेंशियल रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिस डॉक्ट्रिन। Durga Committee, Ajmer versus Sayyid Hassan Ali, 1961 held that secular activities of religious institution can be regulated by the state. ठीक। देखा जाए which of the following is not correctly matched. Article 23 prohibition of human trafficking and forced labor सही है. Prohibition of employment of children in factories सही है. Hazardous factories. 26 freedom to manage religious affairs सही है. Article 29 freedom to establishment and administration of educational institution by minorities ये गड़बड़ है. 29 cultural and educational right of minorities but does not provide right to establish educational institution. This comes ये article 13 के अंदर आता है establish करने वाला मामला. Guarantees article 30 guarantees the right to minorities to establish and administer educational institution of their choice. Article 23 prohibits human trafficking, forced labor and beggar bonded labor. Article 24 prohibits employment of children below 14 years in hazardous industries. Employment of children below 14 years in hazardous industries. Article 26 right to freedom to manage religious affairs. Article 29 protect cultural rights of minorities, not institutional educational institutions. PA Inamdar versus State of Maharashtra 2005. Supreme Court ruled that state cannot impose reservation on private minority institutions under Article 30. Which one of the following pair is not correctly matched? Prohibition of human trafficking and forced labor 23 सही है. Protection of interest of minorities ये हाँ सही है. ठीक है. कल्चरल एंड हाँ ठीक है. राइट टू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रेमेडीज सही है. राइट टू माइनॉरिटीज टू इस्टेब्लिश एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन आर्टिकल 31 पहले प्रॉपर्टी राइट था, ये आर्टिकल 30 है. विच आर्टिकल ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रोटेक्ट राइट टू माइनॉरिटीज टू इस्टेब्लिश एंड एडमिनिस्टर एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ देयर चॉइस? तो आर्टिकल 30 ग्रांट्स रिलीजियस एंड लिंग्विस्टिक माइनॉरिटीज, दो तरह के माइनॉरिटीज, रिलीजियस एंड लिंग्विस्टिक माइनॉरिटीज, द राइट टू इस्टेब्लिश एंड एडमिनिस्टर एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ देयर चॉइस. Article 29 on the other hand protect cultural and educational right but does not explicitly grants the right to establish institution. TMA Pai Foundation versus State of Karnataka Supreme Court ruled that minorities have full control over their institutions but must follow government regulation on admissions and administration. Key aspects. Article 25 individual religious freedom subject to public order, morality and health. Article 26 religious denomination rights, manage religious affairs. 27 no tax for religious activities. 28 restrict religious education in government institutions. Article 29 protect cultural and linguistic identity of minorities. 30 grant the right to establish and administer educational institutions. 44 Amendment Act 1978 removed right to property 38 as a fundamental right. TMA Pai case 2002 defined scope of minority educational institution. Rev Stanclius case 1977 ruled that propagation and right to property convert forcibly is not equal to right to convert forcibly. Definition of minorities in the Constitution. Given below are two statements. Article 30 of the Constitution of India does not define the term minorities. बिल्कुल सही है. माइनॉरिटीज़ को डिफाइन ही नहीं किया गया है. Constitution recognize only linguistic and religious minorities. Article 30 provide religious rights of minorities, both religious and linguistic, to establish administer educational institution. However, Constitution does not define the term minority. The term minorities was later defined in National Commission for Minorities Act 1992, which defined Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain and Parsis are minorities. कौन कौन? Muslim, Christian, Buddh, Sikh, Jain and Parsi as minorities. ठीक. TMA Pi Foundation versus State of Karnataka, the Supreme Court held that minority should be determined at the state level, not nationally. मतलब स्टेट लेवल पे माइनॉरिटी को डिफाइन किया जाएगा, डिटरमाइन किया जाएगा. बाल पटेल वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया 2005, सुप्रीम कोर्ट रूल दैट जैन्स आर ए डिस्टिंक्ट रिलीजियस माइनॉरिटी. ठीक है. While Article 30 grants right to linguistic and religious minorities, the Constitution does not define them. The term ethnic minority is not used in the Constitution. The Constitution of India recognizes the religious and linguistic minorities. Article 29 protects cultural and educational rights of linguistic minorities. Article 30 grants religious and linguistic minorities the right to establish educational institutions. No mention of ethnic minorities in the Constitution. ठीक. Jains were declared a minority in 2014 under National Commission for Minorities Act 1992. Article 350B provides the appointment of a special officer for linguistic minorities. Which of the following is given the power to enforce fundamental right by Constitution? Supreme Court and High Court. 32 के according Supreme Court to issue writs for enforcing fundamental right. Article 226 empower High Courts to issue writs to enforcing fundamental right and other legal rights. Keswanandan Bharti case 1973, Supreme Court ruled that judicial review is part of basic structure of Constitution. Parliament cannot enforce fundamental rights but can amend them, forced to subject to judicial review. Who is the guardian of fundamental right in India? तो है judiciary. Supreme Court Article 32 and High Court Article 226 protect fundamental right judicial review. Article 13 allows courts to strike down unconstitutional laws. Judicial review. Minerva Mills 1980 reaffirmed judicial review as part of basic structure. Under the Indian Constitution, who is the guardian of fundamental rights? Supreme Court. Heart and soul of the Constitution, Supreme Court has final authority on interpreting, protecting fundamental rights. Supreme Court ruled that judicial review by SC and HC is a basic structure of Constitution. Who among the following is considered as guardian of fundamental right? Judiciary. Article 13 judicial review or writ jurisdiction 32 and 226. Who is protector of fundamental right? Supreme Court. Supreme Court ensures fundamental rights are not violated by laws or action of the state. Supreme Court can strike down unconstitutional laws जैसे 377 discrimination in Navjot Johar versus Union of India 2018. Menka Gandhi case 1970 expanded Article 21 scope to include right to life and dignity. IR Kolho case 2007 held that laws violating fundamental right cannot be placed under 9th schedule. Laws violating, Attorney General is the only government chief legal advisor. ठीक.